Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska and this is the news. The counting of losses is still underway in Stronie Śląskie, Poland. Preliminary estimates indicate that it is more than 300 million zloty. Many people have been left without a roof over their heads. What is the situation of the residents now and what do they need the most? Bridges, roads, the police station or the stadium, destroyed as if after a war. For many residents, the water took away all their belongings. Losses in Stronie Śląskie are estimated to amount to at least 300 million zloty. I previously had this pavilion that I gave to my children, and it was my life's work. Nearly 140 buildings in the city are marked with a no trespassing sign. They told us not to enter because it is collapsing, and now they tell us to renovate. And what will they give us? A few pennies? And winter is coming. Services appeal. I would very much like to ask that the residents of these buildings do not go in and carry out cleanup work. Just because this building has been standing for 2 weeks does not mean that in an hour it will not become destroyed. Yesterday I had such an intervention that I had to send a police force to secure the facility from access by residents who were conducting cleanup work there. And so several hundred people from Stronie Śląskie are sleeping in nearby hotels. Many other problems have emerged in homes that were not destroyed by the flood. We don't have heating because we have heating from the city, and the electricity bills when we connect some heaters, electric heaters, will be a nightmare, especially since now we are both out of work. My mental health is going down. I was feeling better for 2 days, and now I feel down again because I had to come here. It gets worse when I come here. It's hopeless. I have no health, dear. I broke down mentally. That's why local government officials are reminding people that there are psychological and psychiatric teams at the offices that can be used. We survived the flood. Let's not be put down by these disorders. Earlier today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy arrived in New York for a meeting with Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, as public tensions have been rising between the two over Ukraine's defense against Russia's invasion. Trump said he would work with both Ukraine and Russia to end the war. Speaking to reporters at Trump Tower, President Zelenskiy said he wanted to discuss his victory plan for Ukraine with Trump during their first meeting since 2019.
First of all, it's very important to share all the plan, all our steps, how we can strengthen Ukraine. And of course, we have to decide it now, because after November, we don't know who is. Only Americans decide who will be the president. But we understand that till November, we can't stop Putin. We have to do it. We will try on the battlefield with our heroic soldiers. But we understand that after November, we have to decide. And we hope that the strength of the United States will be very strong. And we count on it. That's why I decided to meet with both candidates with all honor to them. Thank you.
Trump praised Zelenskiy, but said he also had a solid relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
So we have a very good relationship, and I also have a very good relationship, as you know, with President Putin. And I think if we win, I think we're going to get it resolved very quickly. I really think we're going to get it resolved.
I hope we have more good relations.
We're going to have. Oh, I see. Yeah, but you know, it takes two to tango. You know, and we will. We're going to have a good meeting today, and I think the fact that we're even together today is a very good sign, and hopefully we'll have a good victory, because if the other side wins, I don't think you're going to have victories with anything, to be honest with you. So we're going to sit down, just discuss it, and if we have a win, I think long before January 20th, before I would take the presidency. It's January 20th. But long before that, I think that we can work out something that's good for both sides. It's time.
Trump's meeting with Zelenskiy comes after he criticized the Ukrainian leader on the campaign trail and expressed doubts the U.S. ally can win its war with Russia. Zelenskiy, who is in the United States for the UN General Assembly, met on Thursday with Democratic President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic presidential candidate in the November 5th election. The Israeli military struck the central headquarters of Hezbollah in Beirut, Lebanon. A series of massive explosions leveled multiple buildings, sending clouds of orange and black smoke billowing in the skies. Today's airstrikes killed 2 people and injured 76. According to the U.S. news website Axios, citing an Israeli source, Lebanon's Hezbollah leader, Hassan Nasrallah, was the target of the strike. The Israeli military said the strikes targeted the Iran-backed group's central command.
Moments ago, the Israel Defense Forces carried out a precise strike on the central headquarters of the Hezbollah terror organization that served as the epicenter of Hezbollah's terror. Hezbollah's central headquarters was intentionally built under residential buildings in the heart of the Dahiya in Beirut, as part of Hezbollah's strategy of using Lebanese people as human shields.
A source close to Hezbollah told Reuters on Friday that Lebanon's Hezbollah leader, Nasrallah, is alive. The strikes came shortly after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the UN, vowing that Israel's campaign against Hezbollah would continue. Netanyahu's comments further dimmed hopes for an internationally backed ceasefire aimed at preventing a spiral into all-out war. Airstrikes in the Haret Reik district destroyed 4 buildings, turning them into a pile of rubble. More than 15 missiles hit the area at the same moment. The airstrikes were so powerful, they rattled windows and shook houses some 30 kilometers north of Beirut. The sounds of explosions were heard throughout the Lebanese capital. There was no immediate word on casualties from the strikes, to a degree unseen in past conflicts. Israel this past week has aimed to eliminate Hezbollah's senior leadership. Not long before the explosions Friday evening, thousands were massed in another part of Beirut's suburbs for the funeral of 3 Hezbollah members killed in earlier strikes, including the head of the group's drone unit. Hurricane Helene roared ashore Florida's Big Bend region as one of the most powerful storms to hit the United States, with officials fearing it would leave a trail of deaths and widespread destruction as it moved inland. The powerful hurricane dumped large amounts of water that flooded city streets and entered homes. Even before its arrival, the storm had caused power outages for over 1 million residents and severe flooding in several areas. High winds from Hurricane Helene wreaked havoc in Florida's Big Bend region. The skies were sunny south of Tallahassee in Perry, Florida Friday morning, but windows were shattered and debris littered roadways in the community. Hazards abound from flooded roadways, downed power lines, and debris blocking roads, according to the executive director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management. Floridians were urged to take safety precautions as they clean up and hold off cleaning up debris where power lines are down. They were also advised to wear goggles when operating a chainsaw and put on a hard hat if available when cleaning up in a damaged building. Despite orders to evacuate, a Florida resident who has lived in Cedar Key for 5 years said he stayed behind with his rescue boat to help out those who could not leave, and he documented the whole storm.
I was trying to make it to my mama's house, but it's neck deep here. I'm not able to get any further.
Bobbitt provided a devastating first-hand look at heart-hit Cedar Key Friday morning after parts of the town were flattened by Hurricane Helene.
After the most punishing night any of us could ever have imagined, the morning is breaking bright and beautiful, which is a cruel irony for the scenes we're seeing around the island. Entire houses are missing or flattened in on themselves. The hardware store is gone. The downtown Jiffy completely destroyed. The post office destroyed. Brian's Big Deck is gone. It's hard to take in. However bad we imagined it would be when we were fighting this thing in the darkness, it's so much worse in the daylight. This recovery will be measured in years and years, not months. And I suspect we will see a mass exodus from the island. We're going to find out who really loves Cedar Key, friends. It's unbelievable.
Helene weakened into a tropical storm over Georgia early Friday after making landfall overnight in northwestern Florida as a Category 4 storm. Authorities rescued people trapped by floodwaters, and more than 3 million residents were in the dark across much of the southeastern U.S. Airports in Tampa, St. Pete, Lakeland, and Tallahassee planned to reopen for flights, and 2,000 miles of roadway have been cleared of debris so far. Jared Perdue, Secretary of the Florida Department of Transportation, said Friday morning at a Tallahassee news conference. That's all for the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful weekend.